Merry Christmas. I'm not going to make the mistake of hitting that rock again, if you know what I'm referring to. In fact, I think it was with this tank, different camo. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a funny, humorous story. One day, I have a distant relative who died, and his name is Nick Patera, or Patel, or Patera. I think it was Patera, Nick Patera. And we were at the funeral, and my father says to me, "Oh, you know, when Nick was a kid, he loved to play soccer. He used to play soccer all the time." And he's talking about Nick. He said, "What do you know about what Nick did when Nick was a kid?" Now, Nick is my mother's brother's wife's twin sister's husband. So that was easy to remember. And so Nick had died, and it was when I was in South America, I'm pretty sure. And my father was going on about, how Nick loved to play soccer, and his son was on the Syracuse soccer team. I filmed him playing soccer. He wasn't a starter, but he did play. I taught him. No, I didn't teach him. And my mother's brother's son, he also was very good with soccer, and they played together. So my father's telling me the story about how much he loved to play soccer, and I said, "How did you know that Nick loved to play soccer?" He goes, "How would you know this?" And my father said, "Oh, because, we knew each other when we were kids back in Casal Bernardino. We used to play soccer together. We went to the same high school and all this." And I was like, "Yeah, for God's sakes, I'm 45 years old. You never told me this." And I was like, "Who else lived in Casal Bernardino?" And he says, "Oh, Pascual, Carlos, Giuliano, Giuseppe." And he mentioned some, I don't remember everybody's names. What's the other guy's name? I already said Pascual, right? Vincent. I was like, wow, I didn't know you guys all lived in the same town. I knew that my relatives did. I didn't know that everybody else did too. It's just really weird. So that means that my uncle, who lived in that town, so my parents lived in the same small town. Maybe it's got 5 or 10,000 people. I don't know. My mother lived outside the town on the farm. So they met each other in the town. And Nick, who is my uncle's brother-in-law, was from that town. And all sorts of people within the family that live in Syracuse, all from the same town. And then one day I find out, I'm listening to, talking to my cousin Frank. He's also from that town. No, wait, he was born here. But his family, they're all from that town. And one day we were talking. I said, "Oh, we're going to go visit some friends from Casal Bernardino." And what's the guy's name? I don't remember their names. It's it's a tough name. Begins with a C. What are the kids' names? Johnny. Johnny is the younger son. What is his name? It's a really weird name that you'll never hear ever again. I don't remember the names. What are the names? Oh, I can't remember his name. Okay, I'm not going to remember his name. But we were talking about this guy whose name I don't remember. And he said, "Oh, yeah, I saw him last month." And I was like, "What do you mean you saw him last?" "Oh, yeah, we're friends." And I was like, "Wait a second here. Oh, so my cousin Frank, he lived in the same city as me my whole life. I didn't even know him. I was like in my 40s when I met him." Yeah, because I come from the Italian family where they remember everything. Yeah, so what happened was I was at the state fair, New York State Fair. I was in high school at the time, and I had a Liverpool sweatshirt on. And I was with my friend Ken. Ken was a funny story about him, but that'll be for another day. So there was this guy there who had a booth about Italy. It was about Syracuse, which is in Sicily. And I sat there and I said, "My parents are from Italy." He said, "Where are they from?" I said, "Casal Bernardino." He said, "What's your father's name?" I said, "Gennaro Tiberio." And he said, "What's your mother's name?" I said, "Bambina." You know, he says, what's your grandmother's name? Is it Giovanna? What's your grandfather's name? Giuseppe. He says, I'm your uncle. He says, what do you mean you're my uncle? Oh, no, almost fired. Oh, almost fired. So it ends up he was my uncle. I was like, you're my uncle. I said, do you live in Syracuse? Yeah, I live in Syracuse. Oh, your parents are never going to tell you about me. And it ends up I got tons of family that lives in Syracuse that I never knew. Got lots of aunts and uncles and cousins. Never met them. Then a year later, my great-grandmother died. I was like, man, my great-grandmother lived in the same city as me my whole life, and they didn't even tell me. Nobody told me. So we were at the funeral, and there was this guy. His name was Frank, and we were chatting. And Frank talks a lot. You think I talk a lot? Frank talks a lot. So we were chatting, and he was quite a bit older than me. He's like 10 years older than me. And he's like a couple 100 pounds more girthier. Yeah, Frank had his stomach stapled. Oh, F it. Man, they better cap. They need the cap because they got this light tank roaming around. So, Frank and I became really good friends. I was so happy to meet him. But, now we live in different sides of the world. He lives in Syracuse and I live in Philippines. Most of my family, I never met them because they live in Italy. And well, you know what? I met them once or twice when I went to go visit, but that's it. Yep, look at that. They're capping. And you guys all got off the cap. Bunch of geniuses. Well, actually, they could pull it off. Let's see if he pulls it off. I'm going to go with no. Well, at least I should advance a chevron. Quiero guistas. Exiting bed. Why is it going to take so long today? I forgot where I left off on my story, and I forgot why I was saying it. Oh, it's a really good story. It's about meeting my great-grandmother and about learning all the crazy things about my family. 2,600 damage. But you know what? That's going to be another video. 2,700 damage. I deserved a higher placement. These guys were all cheaters. Let's see if there's anybody we recognize. Maybe I've seen Martin before. Praetorian I saw today. Okay, that's the game. You guys all suck.